Your Wi-Fi may be fast, but the band you're using could be holding it back. Because not all Wi-Fi is the same. Some connections travel farther, some are faster, some work better through walls. And if you choose the wrong one, you can end up with slow internet, weak signal, and constant buffering, even with a good router. Today, I'm breaking down the real difference between 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz Wi-Fi in a simple way anyone can understand. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one to use for speed, coverage, streaming, gaming, smart home devices, and everyday browsing. First, let's clear up the confusion. When people say 2.4 GHz or 5 GHz, they are talking about the radio frequency your Wi-Fi uses to send data from the router to your device. Think of it like two different highways. One highway is wide, long, and easy to travel on. The other is faster, smoother, and built for speed, but it does not go as far. That is the basic difference between these two Wi-Fi bands. Let's start with 2.4 GHz. This band is the older and more traditional Wi-Fi frequency. Its biggest advantage is range. It can travel farther, and it does a better job going through walls, furniture, and other obstacles. That means if your router is in one room and you are in another room far away, 2.4 GHz often gives you a more stable connection. That is why many devices still rely on it, especially in larger homes, upstairs rooms, or areas far from the router. But there is a trade-off. 2.4 GHz is usually slower than 5 GHz, and it is also more crowded. Why? Because many everyday devices use the same frequency. Microwaves, cordless phones, Bluetooth devices, and even your neighbor's Wi-Fi can all add interference. So yes, 2.4 GHz can reach farther, but it is not always the fastest or cleanest signal. Now let's talk about 5 GHz. This band is built for speed. Compared to 2.4 GHz, 5 GHz can usually deliver much faster data transfer, which makes it a great choice for streaming, video calls, gaming, large downloads, and anything that needs strong performance. If your device is close to the router, 5 GHz often feels noticeably better. Pages load faster. Videos buffer less. Downloads finish sooner. There is one catch though. 5 GHz does not travel as far, and it is not as good at passing through walls or thick objects. So while it can be excellent in the same room as the router, the signal may weaken quickly as distance increases. In simple terms, 2.4 GHz gives you reach. 5 GHz gives you speed. Have you ever noticed that your Wi-Fi is great in one room but weak in another? That is usually not your imagination. It is the band behavior. A wall, a floor, or even a closed door can affect the signal. And because 5 GHz is more sensitive to obstacles, it can drop faster when you move away from the router. That is why some people think their internet is bad, when in reality, the issue is just the band they are connected to. If you are far from the router and need stability, 2.4 GHz is often the better choice. If you are close to the router and want better performance, 5 GHz is usually the winner. If speed is your top priority, 5 GHz wins. It supports higher throughput and is usually less congested than 2.4 GHz. That means less interference and better performance in many modern homes. In ideal conditions, 5 GHz can reach very high speeds. But remember, that speed depends on your router, your device, distance, walls, and network traffic. So while 5 GHz is the faster option, it does not automatically mean you will always get the best experience everywhere in the house. Speed is only useful when the connection stays strong enough to hold it. If range is your priority, 2.4 GHz wins. This band travels farther and is better at handling obstacles. That makes it useful for larger homes, outer rooms, garages, patios, and devices that are far away from the router. If your goal is simply to stay connected across a bigger space, 2.4 GHz is usually the more reliable choice. But keep in mind, the connection may be slower, especially when many devices are using the same band. Here is something many people do not realize. A lot of smart home devices, like cameras, plugs, bulbs, and sensors, often work best on 2.4 GHz only. Why? because they usually do not need ultra-fast speeds. What they need is reliable coverage over a long distance. That is why your phone may connect to 5 GHz, but your smart device may insist on 2.4 GHz during setup. So if you are setting up smart home gadgets and they refuse to connect, the Wi-Fi band could be the reason. Most modern routers are dual band, which means they can broadcast both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz. Some even switch devices automatically to the band that seems best at the moment. This is often called band steering. That sounds perfect, but it is not always flawless. Sometimes your device may stay on a weaker band longer than it should. Other times, switching manually gives you a better result. That is why some people see better Wi-Fi after separating the bands into two different names, like Home Wi-Fi 2.4 and Home Wi-Fi 5. That way you can choose the right one depending on what you are doing. Now there is a newer band too, 6 GHz. This is part of newer Wi-Fi standards such as Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7 devices, depending on the equipment. The main idea is simple. 6 GHz gives you even more space for fast, clean wireless traffic. That means less congestion and often better performance in busy environments, especially when the router and device both support it. But there is one important thing to know. Like 5 GHz, 6 GHz is not made for long range. It is usually best when you are closer to the router. So the pattern still stays the same. 2.4 GHz, ill distance, 5 GHz, ill speed, 6 GHz, ill even more speed when supported. Here is the simplest answer. Use 2.4 GHz when you need. Better range, stronger signal through walls, connection in far rooms, smart home device compatibility. Use 5 GHz when you need. Faster speed, smoother streaming, better gaming performance, less interference, stronger performance near the router. And if your device supports it, 6 GHz can be excellent for very fast, low congestion connections close to the router. So there is no single best Wi-Fi band for everything. The best one depends on where you are, what device you are using, and what you need it to do. The next time your Wi-Fi feels slow, do not blame the internet immediately. Sometimes the issue is simply the band. If you are far away, go with 2.4 GHz. If you are nearby and need speed, go with 5 GHz. And if your setup supports it, 6 GHz can take performance even further. Understanding this one difference can make your internet feel a lot better without changing your plan at all. If this helped, stay tuned for the next video, where I will show you how to boost Wi-Fi speed using simple router settings that most people never touch.